Hello, everybody, and welcome to this BBC Apprenticeship webinar. My name's Anna, and I work in the early careers team here at the BBC. It's so lovely to see so much enthusiasm for BBC apprenticeships. It's brilliant to have so many of you on the call. Um, we've got a really packed session for you today. Oh, I can see some reactions coming through already. Keep reacting; it makes me feel loved. So, as I said, we've got a really packed session for you today. We've obviously got lots of information. We've got special guests, and we'll have time at the end to answer all of your questions. So, if you have any questions, please pop them in the Q&A and we'll get to them at the end. Just keep sending them in. We have people answering them in the background, but please send them in. This is your chance to get access to the people behind the scenes. So yes, send us lots of questions. But first, whilst you're all settling in, I'll just play you a short video about BBC apprenticeships.
Every year, the BBC offers hundreds of apprenticeship opportunities.
From the production teams that bring creative ideas to life,
to the tech teams who code BBC iPlayer and BBC Sounds,
and engineers that keep our broadcasts on air.
From the journalists getting to the heart of the stories that matter the most,
to the operations team that make the business of the BBC function and continue to thrive.
and no, this isn't an unpaid internship situation, you actually get a really competitive salary.
did we say that you can get an accredited qualification from the UK's top learning providers?
And you don't have to pay for it, but you do have to study, like actually study.
This isn't just a London thing either. We're in Cardiff,
Glasgow!
Blackburn,
Newcastle,
Bristol, Tees,
Leeds,
Birmingham, Salford,
Tunbridge Wells,
Belfast.
and that's not even all of our locations.
And it's not just about the work. Our staff networks and apprentice communities are always growing to make you feel like you can bring your authentic self to the BBC.
This really is just the beginning.
Sound good? Find out more here.
Well, you're going to find out more right now, right here. So you don't even need to scan that QR code because we're gonna answer all of your questions over the next hour. So let me introduce my panel first. For those of you just settling in, you maybe missed my start. My name's Anna, and I work in the early careers team as an outreach advisor. So I'll do things like webinars and events and visit schools and yeah, just tell people about our BBC apprenticeships. Also on the call, we've got Shreya, who is the scheme specialist for our business admin scheme. We have got Stefano, who is a talent acquisition advisor. That basically means that he works in recruitment. He looks after these schemes. So if you've got any tricky questions, make sure you send them through to him. And we've also got, most importantly, our three apprentices on the call who are on the business admin scheme. So we've got Crystal, Eva, and Phoebe, and you'll be hearing from all of those guys really soon. But first, before we kind of dive into all of the nuts and bolts of the scheme, I thought I would share a little bit of information about BBC apprenticeships and the BBC as a whole, because I think understanding the breadth of what we do will really help you see just how many different opportunities and schemes there are available. So, when we talk about services at the BBC, what we're referring to are all the different platforms and channels that we operate. So that could be TV, it could be radio, and obviously so much on digital as well. So we've got 8 UK-wide television services or channels, if you prefer the old school term. These include household names like BBC One, CBBC, and the BBC News Channel. And each channel serves a different audience and purpose, from entertainment to education to news. Beyond the national channels, we have 22 nations and regions TV services. So these are the local news bulletins that follow the main bulletins at 1, 6, and 10. We've got dedicated services for BBC Wales, BBC Scotland, and BBC Northern Ireland. And if you're in England, you'll get your local version. On the radio side, we've got 10 national radio stations across the UK. So these include popular stations like Radio 1, 1 Extra, and 5 Live, and the Asian Network. And each station's got its own unique style and audience. And in the nation, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland, we've got 7 dedicated radio stations as well, including language stations as well. So for Gaelic and for Welsh as well. And in England, Jersey, and Guernsey, we've got 41 local radio stations, and these are tailored to specific local communities, and they're such a vital part of our local engagement. And lastly, we've got our digital services. So these include online platforms like BBC iPlayer and BBC News, BBC Bite Size, which you might have used if you're studying, and BBC Sounds as well. Um, our apprenticeship schemes really reflect the full range of what the BBC does. So we've got apprenticeships in the areas you'd expect. So journalism, the news, and production, sort of program making. But we also have opportunities in business, in digital technology and data, and in engineering and operations as well. So basically, whatever your interest is, there's likely a scheme that fits. We also offer apprenticeships at lots of different levels as well, and that's to suit where you are in your learning journey. So, levels 3 and 4 are the equivalent to A levels or BTECs or higher. Um, Level 5 is the equivalent to a foundation degree, and level 6 learning is equivalent to a degree level. And we've got a level 7 scheme as well, which is postgraduate. So what I'm saying is, whether you're just starting out or you've already got some experience, we've got the scheme for you. Um, but what you're here today to find out more about is our business admin scheme. So I'm going to hand you over to Shreya now, who's the scheme specialist, and she can talk you through all the nuts and bolts of how it works.
Good evening, everyone. So I'm Shreya, I'm a scheme specialist, and I look after the end-to-end apprenticeship journey from recruitment, supporting the talent acquisition team, all the way through to endpoint assessment, which is when you finish your apprenticeship. So this is the business admin apprenticeship, and it ranges across the business. This is a really big scheme. It's quite a vital one as well. So Anna talked about some of the functions and services across the business, and what you see at the front end of us delivering that. But behind the scenes, there are a lot of integral cogs at the BBC, and you'll gain the opportunity to learn about those various parts of the business. So you'll have an introduction to business organizations, you'll study stakeholder management, so working with internal and external customers, and working basically your stakeholders, anyone who your work impacts as well. Business fundamentals, understanding principles around change, finance, and much more. And at the end, you'll be able to execute a business project, which will be really impactful within the team that you have been working with. So you'll build a portfolio alongside doing all of this, gaining your experience within a BBC team, and learning through our learning provider as well. So the study that you would be doing when you do the level 3 business admin apprenticeship, all of the people doing that scheme will be studying the same thing. However, it may look different across each area of the business because we do such a wide range of things. So you'll see a list at the bottom, and you'll also be able to find a description of these on the job adverts as well. The BBC departments that are hosting this particular scheme. So I'll just read out a few. So we've got local and business operations, indie delivery unit, technology media operations, branding and licensing. So you can see that's a massive range of departments that want a business admin apprentice in their team. Your day-to-day role will be, as I said, based in one of those teams. And alongside this, you'll study towards your level 3 business admin apprenticeship. This study is all done online, so you don't need to leave to go to college or university or anything like that. All of the study is done online through an online portal and through webinars. It's a fixed term program, so your employment will last the length of your apprenticeship scheme. And once completed, we will support you in your career development, things like employability training and networking to help you take your next step at the BBC. The roles support teams across the business, and if you are organised and thrive behind the scenes, our level 3 business apprenticeship could be a really, really good fit for you. So some of the things that come part and parcel of being successful on this scheme are competitive salary, a 35-hour working week, 25 days annual leave, as we mentioned, industry recognised qualification, mentoring and training from both the BBC and our learning providers, and also bespoke development days, and a really, really thriving community of existing apprentices as well. We are a massively value-driven workplace, so we do look for the values when we're doing our recruitment and throughout the apprenticeship scheme as well. The entry requirements to join this specific scheme. So you must be 18 plus by 8th of September 2026. So if you're not 18 yet, that is absolutely fine. But by the start date, we do need you to be 18 years of age. You must have lived in the UK for the past 3 years continuously, be legally able to work full time, not be enrolled in another apprenticeship. So if you've started one, you can't do this one as well. So all your previous studies should have been completed, and also not completed a qualification in the same subject at the same level. This sometimes can prompt any questions. So if you do have any questions around what that means, just pop it in the Q&A box. You will need Maths and English GCSEs at grade 4 or C or above. And the scheme is aimed at non-graduates. If you have a degree and you're interested in similar roles, you can apply for other roles via the BBC career site. And that being said, we do also target career changes as well. So if you have done a degree, but this is a kind of different subject area for you, it could still be a fit. So yeah. And as we saw at the start of the presentation in that great video, apprenticeships are based across many locations. So we've got Glasgow, Salford, Birmingham, London, Cardiff and Tunbridge Wells are all locations which are hosting a business administration apprentice.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Shreya. After having watched our BBC Apprenticeship video quite a few times, the way the guy says Tunbridge Wells in the video always makes me laugh because he does it with such joy. So
Yeah.
I can't actually say Tunbridge Wells without going Tunbridge Wells. But it's brilliant that they are hosting a business admin apprenticeship this year. That's absolutely fantastic. Thank you for all that information. If you've got any questions about it, please do stick it in the Q&A and we will get to answering them at the end. I know that my brilliant TA colleague, Stefano, is in the comments right now, making sure that you're getting replies, but we'll read out some more at the end. Well, I think that's probably quite enough talking for me and Shreya. You probably want to hear from the actual people who are doing the actual scheme. So now I'd like to welcome to the call my 3 brilliant apprentices. I've got Crystal, Eva, and Phoebe. Welcome, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I've got lots of questions. I could talk to you all day. I promise I'm not going to do too much talking, but well, I guess I'll start with an easy one. Crystal, I'll start with you. If you could introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your department. It's a good one, and a little bit about what your day-to-day looks like.
Yes, so my name's Crystal. I'm a level 3 business administration apprentice and I started in September last year. So I've been on scheme for just over a year. And I'm placed in, ironically, the apprenticeships team. So I get to see kind of like the behind the scenes of what an apprentice journey is. So all the way from being recruited all the way to them coming to the end of their scheme. So yeah, it's really interesting seeing kind of the behind the scenes aspect of how I got here as well. But a day to day, it's very different. But I do think that it's different because there are different kind of like sub teams within my team. But different things that I can get up to are planning events, updating some internal websites, planning different apprentice events and socials and things like that. But then also some admin work, so some spreadsheets, data, and yeah, making presentations and things like that. So it's very different, and it does differ depending on where you are, but that's a little taste of what I do.
Amazing. Well, I've got obviously lots of questions, lots of things to grill you about, but I'll come to Eva next. Eva, if you could introduce yourself, say where you work and what you do.
Yeah, hi, I'm Eva. So I'm on the level 3 business admin scheme. I'm based in London Broadcasting House, within the media operations team. So the media ops team is basically the team that kind of schedules and coordinates all the resources behind things like big outdoor broadcasts, news, It involves all the schedulers. And if you think of big things like Glastonbury, like Media Ops coordinates all the resources that make that sort of thing happen. So it's a super interesting team to be in. I've only been on Scheme for about 7 weeks, so I'm pretty new, but already it's been absolutely incredible. Day to day, I go into the office about 4 days a week, and the 5th day is my study day. And I've started doing things like distribution lists, managing, creating those, and building up communication networks within the team. I've started doing a lot of finance operations, so invoicing, spreadsheets, and yeah, and a lot of data analysis as well. So running reports, and that can be in things like time reporting or financial data. But yeah.
Amazing. I've got lots of questions. I'll come back to them. Phoebe, same question to you. If you could introduce yourself, say what department you work in, and a little bit about your day to day.
Sure. So, hi guys. I'm Phoebe. I am placed with the image design studio. So my business, I'm with the business administration apprenticeship scheme as well. But I would definitely say that my role is quite it's quite interlinked with the creative side of things, which is really wonderful for myself because I've got quite a keen kind of interest in that. My day to day looks a little bit different. So my day to day is it's quite a lot to do with supporting the image design studio. So they are basically all of the designers who create any image that you see on BBC iPlayer. So we sit within the BBC iPlayer remit. So a lot of my day-to-day work, for example, right now I've been put on a project which is called Track the Asset, and it's my responsibility to essentially track images that are created for iPlayer from the moment of inception. So right from the photo shoot, which is very production based. I get to attend the photo shoots, kind of watch those photos being created, and then monitor exactly what happens to that photo, to that asset, all the way up until it gets to us at iPlayer. And basically, yeah, I'm creating like a mapping process of that, giving lots of evidence. And the idea behind it is to identify the pain points. And by that, I mean, some of the images that we get delivered at iPlayer are slightly lower quality than perhaps we might like. So it's my kind of job really to monitor that process and monitor the process of lots of different assets and then compare which ones are good, which ones are not so good, and identify those pain points and kind of identify the areas that we can work on to kind of increase the quality. So I'd say it's a little bit more production based and it's also quite analytical, which is really good. So yeah, that's what I do.
Amazing. So 3 people on the same scheme, but 3 very different working environments, 3 very different areas that they work in. But it just really goes to show the flexibility of a business admin apprenticeship, and that it really can take you into any team because those fundamental skills are needed across the organisation. So I think you guys are future-proofing yourself. You're very smart. So, Crystal, if you could tell me next. Why you applied to do this specific scheme and why you chose the BBC.
So I came straight from A levels. So I just done my A levels and then I applied for this. So I feel like the reason why I chose to do business is because I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I thought business is a very good scheme in terms of you can go into, like, as we've shown, you can do different jobs in completely different things with the same scheme. So because I wasn't quite sure, I was like, oh, that's a really good scheme because it means that if I have I want to do this instead of this, it can kind of work. And I chose the BBC because I consumed a lot of BBC content growing up. I remember watching CDs and CBBC all the time when I was young, listening to BBC Radio 1. So for me, it was kind of like a corporation that I already knew a lot about and I already consumed a lot. So it would be really good to kind of like be a part of it.
Amazing. You can tell that I've asked you this question before because you've got your answer down. Eva, same question to you. You're so new in the organisation. When you were browsing the kind of job listings and stuff, what made you choose this scheme and what were you doing before you joined it?
So similar to Crystal, I'd come straight out of A levels, and I did take a gap year to do all my applications for different apprenticeship schemes. But I did business and economics at A level. I knew that was kind of the direction that I wanted to go in, but I didn't want to go to university, even though everyone else around me kind of that was the path they were going down. So I took a year and I applied to different schemes, but I think the BBC one was one that I really, really wanted, just because it's such a unique business in the sense that it's got obviously the public service broadcasting side, and it's also got like BBC Studios. It's just such an incredibly diverse organization, and I knew that I would really enjoy learning all about how it operates. I also really liked how the BBC is a very values-driven organization. It's a very people-oriented organization, and that was something that I really value and aligned with me. So that that was something that really drew me in and made me feel like I wanted to work there. But yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. And Phoebe, same question to you. What were you doing before you joined us, and what made you choose this scheme in particular?
Sure. So actually before this, I did this apprenticeship because I was undergoing a career change. So I'm 25. I actually had a whole very different career before I joined here. So I was actually an academic researcher. So I'm a published psychological researcher. So my studies were actually into social anxiety and a lot of kind of treatment surrounding that. Absolutely loved that job, but I sort of felt like I'd come to the end of it, and I always knew I had quite a keen interest in television. So for me, the reason that I chose specifically the business admin scheme and for the BBC was kind of twofold. I think I knew that I had a really keen interest in production and kind of TV. My mum works in TV, so I kind of, I knew that that was definitely something that interested me. So that's why I chose the BBC. And the reason that I chose the business admin scheme was because I felt like that was the scheme that best aligned to my skills that I'd picked up as a researcher. So I'm very analytical, very kind of organizational. So I felt like that was kind of the scheme that would give me the best shot at thriving, just because it kind of aligned with my skills and my interests. So yeah, that's what I did. And I did a degree before this as well. So that's also something I did before.
Cool, great stuff. So we've got a kind of mix of experiences and a mix of kind of ways to come to the BBC. I will say that if you're on this call and you're like, "Oh, I am quite a lot older than 25, but I'm still really keen on doing the scheme," I will say that one of our older early careers apprentices is 55, and she is absolutely loving being on scheme. So if you're like, "I've left it too late, guys," you absolutely have not. Come join us, put in an application. Um, it's a brilliant scheme because it can really take you into so many different places as these guys have shown. Crystal, I'm going to come back to you because whilst you have obviously been doing incredible work as a business admin apprentice in our team, you've also had loads of other opportunities as well. And every time I see your LinkedIn, there is like something else amazing that you're doing. So do you want to give some of the kind of highlights of some of the things that you've been up to? It could be about the apprenticeship as well, but I just know that you've been doing all sorts.
Yeah, random things just pop up and it's like, oh, that sounds cool. I think one of the more random but exciting things I've done is the elections. So in London in the studio, they had the elections coming up. So I basically helped the 2 days prior to the elections with the rehearsals. So you basically had to sit in with the not presenters, Laura Quensberg and the weather report. I can't remember her name, but we sat in with them and we had to pretend to be politicians. So we had to basically pretend to be the guests that they would get in just so that they can look at the cameras and make sure the mics are working. And we literally spent like the whole day for 2 days just sitting there talking about random stuff that we didn't understand. But we were in the studio and we had the cameras and we were with the presenters and it was quite cool.
Amazing.
Yeah, that
Which
was fun.
politician did you have to pretend to be?
Many different politicians,
Many.
and I can't
Just all
even
of them.
remember their names, but from different parties and stuff. But it's quite fun.
Amazing. Good stuff. And you've been doing a podcast and stuff as well, haven't you?
Oh yes,
Because you're involved in the apprentice community.
yes, the Apprentice community is a community for apprentices in the BBC run by apprentices, and it basically brings the apprentices together from different areas and different bases. So we have regional coordinators in different areas. So I'm the regional coordinator for Birmingham because I'm based in Birmingham. And we basically plan apprenticeship events and socials, and we have a podcast as well, which is an internal podcast, which is for colleagues to listen to. And we just talk about different things to do with apprenticeships, and we get guests on and things like that. But yeah.
Amazing. Very cool. And Phoebe, you had like a whole other career before you joined us. How has the kind of reality matched up with I guess what what you kind of thought it would be like? How's it been so far? I mean, because you've come from quite a different world of academia.
Yeah, do you know what? It's been amazing, genuinely. I'm not just saying that. It has
You
really been
kind of have to,
amazing.
but no, you don't have to.
No, honestly, genuinely, I'd be honest, it really has been amazing. And I think I have to kind of second Crystal in terms of I would say, I think something that's kind of maybe I didn't expect, it's been a really nice surprise, is that I really do think the apprenticeship is what you make it. So I have like had so many amazing opportunities to do things I'd never thought I would get involved with because I asked the question. And it really is kind of you've got to just, once you're in, it's like ask those questions. Like, for example, I was in a conversation with one of the creative producers for Strictly Come Dancing, and I just asked her if she needed any assistance on a shoot, and she was like, do you know what, I do actually, so I'm going to the Strictly dress rehearsal next week and I'm working on that. And also I have actually been in liaison with Crystal, and I'm working on a charity like netball aid event that
I saw this.
yes.
Is this tomorrow?
This is
The next thing.
it's
No,
on
coming up soon.
Sunday, the
Sunday.
2nd. So
Oh my
like
goodness.
I'm working on that, and I never thought I would. I'm doing children in need as well as a talent runner, all because I asked the question. So yeah, I'd say that's definitely sort of the thing that maybe I didn't expect. So that's kind of surpassed expectations. But the rest of it, yeah, it's definitely met my expectations in terms of everybody says it's a great company to work for. Everybody says that, there are so many opportunities and that the culture is really great. And that's all absolutely like bang on what I expected for sure. Yeah.
Good. That is lovely to hear. That makes my heart so happy. Eva, you have all this to come. I mean, 7 weeks in, it sounds like you've already done so much already. But I'm going to take you back to getting in the door. I'm going to talk about the application process because I'm going to go into it a bit more detail, but you did it most recently. How was it for you? And do you have any tips for the people on the call? Any insider trading? The people that bothered to show up for this webinar, let's give them something special.
So yeah, I have to say the application process was amazing, and I applied to lots of other apprenticeship schemes, and the BBC really stood out to me as like there was so much communication, so much information, and I felt supported throughout the whole thing, which was another kind of motivator to being like, I really, really want to get this
Oh,
apprenticeship
that's
because
so
this is green
nice.
flags already. Top tip wise, I'd say brush up on the BBC values. Like I said, it's a very values driven organization, and it can be really helpful when you're going through the process just to have those in the back of your mind and be able to demonstrate how you can contribute to those values and things like that. And definitely say that's an important thing. Another thing, I know everybody says this when you're going through interviews and things, but genuinely be yourself. The BBC is looking for you, it's looking for different people, it's looking for diversity, it's looking for different viewpoints. And I felt so incredibly valued just coming in and being myself, and I felt comfortable to be myself. And I think that is really important, and they really look for you as a person rather than grades or anything like that. Yeah, I think those would be my top tips. And also just apply. If I went back a year, I would never have thought that I would have gotten it or be in this position. So you have nothing to lose by applying. So go for it.
Amazing. Eva, I would love to get you back on this webinar next year so that I want to hear all the cool stuff that you've done. I want to hear like, oh, I'm doing this stuff and this has been really amazing and stuff. So it's just you're making my heart very happy. I feel very inspired. Crystal and Phoebe, before I kind of go more in depth into the application process, are there any top tips that you guys want to share about it, or does that just feel like too long ago? I don't know. Crystal, do you have any?
I would say a big one for me is not to compare yourself to other people, especially when if you get to the assessment center, that's the stage where you see the people you're applying against, what you're going up against. And it's so easy to hear what they're doing and compare yourself and think, oh, they've got this experience and this experience. And I don't, like, for me, I came from A level, so I didn't have I never had a job before. So I kind of like automatically just pushed myself down and thought, I'm probably not going to get it. But then I realized that the best thing to do is one, not compare myself to other people, but also just be just be the best I can with what I have. So with what you have, like, just really sell yourself and talk about the skills that you've gained from those things, even if it doesn't sound extravagant. It's the skills that they're looking for, so, and the passion as well. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
You're so wise. I mean, I'll cover this more, but you're basically stealing all my good tips. But no, listen to Crystal. She did it and she got in, so she knows what she's talking about. And Phoebe, do you have any that you'd like to offer before we move on?
Sure, yeah, I've got one which somebody gave to me, and I do feel like it was so valuable. And she actually told me it probably about 20 minutes before I went into the interview, and she saved me, honestly. So my friend actually is one of the recruiters for the BBC, and she said the biggest top tip she could give me, which I do feel was really valuable, is any statement that you make in an interview, give evidence. And it doesn't have to be like anything extravagant or anything. It's just backing it up, because the interviewers don't know you, right? And they're trying to suss you out essentially and work out whether you would be a good fit. So if you're saying, oh, I'm really organized, so I think I'd be really good at business admin, give them an example. And she said the way to do this, to kind of keep it in your head, is just keep asking yourself how. So if you say, I'm organized, how? Oh, well, I arranged this event. Okay, how? And keep doing that, because this sort of brings me on to the second part, which is, she said, if an interviewer ever has to stop you because you're giving too many examples, don't see it as a bad thing. It's not a problem. If an interviewer has to say like, okay, yeah, we're going to move on now, don't see that as a bad thing. It just means like, yeah, great, you've been giving loads of examples, we've got it, we're going to move on now. So I'd say just always evidence it, because remember, you're speaking to somebody who doesn't know you, so they can't just take your word for something. You know, if you're going to make a statement, back it up, for sure. That would be my top tip.
So wise. I feel like I should be taking notes for my next interview, for my next role, whatever that is, because maybe I don't do that. Very smart. Thank you so much, guys. If you wouldn't mind sticking on the call, just in case there's any questions that you guys could answer at the end in the Q&A, feel free to answer any questions in the Q&A if you see any. But if you have any questions specifically for either Crystal or Phoebe, do address them to them, and we will either get to them throughout the course of the rest of the chat or at the end. Okay, so I've teased it a lot. The application process. I will do a little chat through it. I will say that we have a full webinar about the application process. It's on the Life at the BBC YouTube channel, and you can watch it back. They go, our talent acquisition team go into real detail about all the different steps. But I will do a quick talk through now and give you a couple of resources as well. So there are 4 steps to the application process. There's the online application, online tests, there's a video interview, and then there's the assessment centre. And then the kind of 5th golden step is, if you're successful, you will come join us at the BBC in 2026 September. There we go. Okay, so the online application is basically the initial check for eligibility and for your motivation for applying for the scheme. So really take your time researching the scheme and make sure it's the right fit for you, that suits your interests and your passions and your skills. Make sure you read the application criteria and questions carefully. If you click the wrong button that says you're not eligible, it will be an auto disqualification. So if you say, for example, you don't have the right to work in the UK, your application will be discounted. Okay, so read it really, really carefully before you hit submit. As the guys have already mentioned, really make sure that you show your passion for the scheme and for the BBC as well. Yes, you are really organised and you'd be great at doing business admin, but why do you want to do it at the BBC? What do you like about the organisation? What do you think you can bring to it? You know, the question that the kickoff question, you know, is a real chance for you to tell us all about you. Don't leave anything out. And as Phoebe very wisely said, make sure you're giving examples to back up all your claims. You can only submit 1 application per scheme for each intake. So that means if you're looking at the business admin scheme, don't apply for the one in Glasgow and the one in Birmingham because that will be an automatic disqualification. So choose the best the scheme that you want to do. Okay. Um, there we go. Okay, so our next step is the online test, and we do this through a platform called Capfinity, and it's a strengths-based assessment, and it's basically designed to identify your skills and see how they align with the role you're going for at the BBC. And it involves a series of scenario-based questions where you would rank responses based on the approach that you would be most likely or least likely to take. Um, so this is an online assessment. It takes 45 to 60 minutes, and it basically aims to explore your natural strengths and abilities. So just be yourself. Make sure you answer from the heart what you would actually do. Don't use outside sources whilst completing the assessment. And yeah, just make sure that you're really kind of doing a bit of soul searching and thinking about what you actually would do in these situations. So our next stage is the video interview. So this gives you an opportunity to talk more about your strengths and your motivation for applying for this scheme, and the contribution that you're hoping to make at the BBC. So this is online and it's done via our Higher View platform, and it basically means that you can complete it at a time and a place that suits you best. Um, we recommend that you set aside enough time to complete it in one sitting, and just make sure that your tech works well before you start, that you're in a nice, quiet, calm environment, and that you be yourself. You stay authentic. You really let your personality shine because. We don't know you. We really want to get to know you, and we're really keen to bring new voices and new ideas and new thinking into our team. So we really want to hear about your passions and why you think you'd be a good fit for the scheme. Um, Make sure you research the scheme really well. Read the job description, find out more about it, and research the BBC values, which I'll come on to in a little bit. Um, Before you start, make sure you just kind of spend a lot of time getting to know the BBC and the scheme that you're applying for as well. Um, And then there's the assessment centre. So the final stage of our process, and this is usually held virtually. Um, so um, we basically try and keep the process as simple as possible. You'll get a welcome and you'll hear more about the apprenticeship, and then you'll take part in a group exercise, and then you'll do an interview where you'll get to meet the team. Um, so in the group exercise, you'll collaborate in small groups to kind of generate and present your best ideas based on a particular scenario. And in the interview, you'll be asked a mix of values-based and competency-based questions. Um, as Phoebe very wisely said, prepare examples to support your claims of skills and abilities. So if you say you can do something, how? Why? Where did you get that from? Maybe you're really organized because you're the person that always organizes the group get-togethers in your in your friend group. You're always really you organize all the parties. You set up the WhatsApp groups, whatever it is. If you've got evidence for it, you absolutely bring it to the table, and really kind of do a bit of soul searching as to why you want to work at the BBC and why this apprenticeships particularly. Maybe you always sit down and watch Strictly with your grandma, and you always it's a proper lovely family thing for you. Say what you like about the BBC. Um, and then finally, if you're successful, we'll make you an offer to come join us in September 2026. Our scheme team will be in contact with you in between the offer and the start date to give you lots of information, and you'll have an opportunity to connect with others who are joining the scheme. Um, if you're unsuccessful, make sure you ask for feedback. It's a really valuable tool for continual improvement and just making sure that going forward you can really learn from the experience. We've had a few apprentices on scheme who've got on like third time lucky. So don't see it as a firm no. It's a not this time, but keep going. Um, Another kind of tip would be to document your successes and significant projects, so that can really help you with future job applications and can be handy for when someone says tell me about a time, you go, oh yes, I was just reminiscing about this project that I did. um, and keep a positive mindset. Obviously, if you're not starting till September 2026, It can feel quite long, but stay motivated and keeping everything crossed for you. Um, I just wanted to touch a little bit more on our BBC values as well. If you Google BBC values, they'll come up, but they're basically underpin absolutely everything we do at the BBC. And if you think about how you kind of respond to them in your life, which ones speak to you the most, how you demonstrate these. I think that will really help you in your application. So the values are audiences, one BBC, creativity, trust, accountability, and respect. And I could go on about these for a while, but basically, it's about creating an amazing work environment that creates the best work for our audience. Um, and that kind of underpins everything we do, whether you're working in content or whether you're in business admin or any other area. Um, on that note, I just wanted to touch on diversity and inclusivity at the BBC. Some of you might be thinking, oh, this all sounds amazing. I'd love to work there, but I'm not sure whether someone like me could actually work at the BBC. And I just wanted to be absolutely clear. Yes, you can. Um, we're really proud to be a disability confident employer, which means if you need any reasonable adjustments to apply, interview, or to work with us, we'll support you. You can have a confidential conversation with our recruitment team before you apply. We've got a form on our website that you can fill in. Share as much information as you feel comfortable with us, and we'll work with you to make the process as accessible as possible. Um, I don't want you to think that being disabled, neurodivergent, or having a health condition is a barrier to joining us. It's not, and we'll work with you to remove barriers to you being able to bring your authentic self to work. Um, I will say that the BBC is really committed to being as diverse as the audiences that we serve, and that means diversity in background, in thought, in race, religion, gender, because we can't truly represent the BBC unless we reflect its full range of voices and experiences. So if you're thinking the BBC would never work with someone like me, I just would like you to kind of reflect on that and hopefully have a little bit more confidence that your application would be treated absolutely, in a supportive way, so we can get the best out of you. I've got time for my next video. I do. So this video is about one of our apprentices who has autism and dyslexia.
When I first found out I was coming to do an apprenticeship at the BBC, my family, friends, everyone at my old work were so excited for me. When I was younger, I used to always partake in the children in need. We also used to take a pound in, and I think everyone can remember that from when they were younger. To be working here is just crazy. So I did A-levels before doing my apprenticeship. I wanted to go and do something more creative, and I thought I'd just kind of go a bit off-piece and Google and see what else was out there. The jump from high school to sixth form was really tricky for me. I was finding it really hard to keep up. So I went for an assessment, and it actually ended up turning into an assessment for dyslexia. And I ended up coming out of that assessment with a diagnosis, and then left school, went and worked for 2 years, and then at the age of 20 got a diagnosis for autism. That diagnosis was really beneficial. I'd always wondered why quite didn't feel like I fit in. I'm still finding out new things every day about how to cope. The autism definitely has its stereotypes, and so many times when I got the diagnosis, people will question, well, how can you be autistic? And that was really hard at first, because I thought, well, I don't know, I've been given this diagnosis, I'm trying to understand it. So when I first started the apprenticeship scheme, my line manager reached out and asked, did anybody have any additional needs? And I'd never been asked that before. And I thought, okay, at this point, I don't really know whether the answer's yes or no. Then thought, actually, no, I'm going to tell them. I'm going to be open about this for the first time. They then gave me the support and went through access to work. It gave me extra support in terms of I was given a lot of them to help with the difficulties that I was having. So I was given a software called Dragon to help me communicate that, and all of these things that I'd never had before. And so from that day onwards, I was very open, and the BBC are so understanding and make it so easy to have those conversations. I would say to anybody that's apprehensive about applying for apprenticeships, especially if you're like me and had dyslexia or autism or any disability or anything that you think is a barrier and means that you can't do it, just do it anyway. I definitely think if I'd not applied, I don't know what I'd be doing right now, and I'm so happy to be working here. I'm Vicky, I'm a degree apprentice at the BBC, and I have autism and dyslexia.
Okay, so as I mentioned a little earlier, we've now got a form where you can contact our recruitment team directly and talk about reasonable adjustments or ask questions about your application. So that form is a QR code on the left-hand side of your screen. So that's if you need any reasonable adjustments to apply. And or for example, if you've got some eligibility questions, I would say that a lot of our questions can be answered on the FAQs on our early careers page. That's a QR code on the right hand side, and also on the job adverts themselves. There's a lot of information about eligibility and things like that. So before you fill in a form, make sure you do check the FAQs and read the job advert as well. Save the inboxes of our poor talent acquisition team, who I guess I'll be speaking to very shortly. Stephanie, I'm just coming to you in a minute. So I guess this is my final slide before I get to the Q&A, is to say, obviously, applications are open now. You can apply to be a business admin apprentice at the BBC right now. Hopefully, this presentation will have given you a bit more info. Definitely hearing from our apprentices will be fantastic as well. And then for more updates, info, content about the BBC, what it's like to work there, you can follow us at BBC Get In on Instagram, at Life at the BBC on TikTok. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. Stefano, hello. How are you?
Hello, hi everyone.
Thank you.
Welcome to the webinar.
Thank you so much for
So,
joining us. You've been like furiously typing in the background.
yeah,
So give me some kind of
so I kind of
themes and
wanted to
stuff.
use the Q&A feed as our guiding lights.
Yeah,
So it
yeah.
clearly showed where our candidates' priorities were. And the questions are clustered around two main areas of focus, and these about eligibility. So the questions were, I have a degree, A levels, can I still apply for a level 3 apprenticeship? Yes, I'd say, but choose wisely. So the level 3 and 5 are aimed mostly at non-graduates. So if you have a degree, we kind of encourage you to check out the level 6 or master degree apprenticeship instead. The key takeaway will be, if you be ready to explain your motivation for taking a level 3, especially if you have a degree. For example, you need a full career reset into a new technical skill, so just be ready to explain that. One of the question was, where can I find more info on the departments? So you need to research the specific scheme that is open now for applications, and to find the team details are on the website, on our job adverts. So there's a short description that you can relate to. And then another question was, will my A-level business prevent me from applying for level 3? No. I'd say your A-level won't prevent you. Your level 3 apprenticeship are considered equivalent to 2 A-levels. So the concern here is mainly the overlap, not the exclusion. So the advice is to consider level 4 and 6, and it gives you more like a challenging qualification that builds on your A-level knowledge instead.
Cool. Great. Yes, I see lots of questions about eligibility, but I can see you've done an amazing job answering them. Oh, yes. Different departments. Yes, so all of that about all the different departments and a flavour of what you'll be doing in them is all on the job advert. So if you can check out each individual job advert, and that will sort of show you all the breadth of stuff we're allowed to do. Okay. Oh, yes. Is the apprenticeship office-based only, or are there hybrid options? Most apprenticeships are mostly in the office, but there are opportunities to work from home as well. So on your study day, but I would say, especially for example, if you're in media operations, you're much more likely to be in the office more, and also just to kind of really get you into your team and getting to know the business of the BBC. It's harder to do that from home. So, that's why it's mostly office based. Oh, no travel bursary for the scheme, but if you want to move to a different area to do the scheme and you need sort of some support to do that, we do have a bursary available that you can apply for. Information on that is on our early careers website. If you need a bit of financial support to set you up in a new location. And there's lots of information about that on our early careers website. How many business admin apprenticeships are available in London? There are 9 roles in London, according to Shreya. Thank you. Brilliant. Lots and lots. I touched on this at the beginning of the webinar. Can I apply for more than one scheme? So you can only submit one application per apprenticeship. So if you like the look of both one of the London schemes and one of the Birmingham schemes, or two different schemes in London, those would cancel each other out and you would be automatically disqualified. So pick your best one. Just apply for one. We don't want you to be knocked out of the application process because of that. Ooh. Can I have a recording of the session? Yes, you can. It will be on the Life at the BBC YouTube channel as soon as I've turned it around and sent it off to Dan, who looks after our social media channel. So you'll be able to watch it back. Oh, yes, recordings of all the previous webinars are also on there. If one isn't there, it's just because I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to work very hard on it tomorrow and get them all up. Are there opportunities to move between different departments? So your host department is your department that you stay in, but as Crystal mentioned, there are opportunities to work on different projects every so often, but essentially like for the duration of your scheme, you will be working within that department. And if you do have interest to work in other areas, I know that our scheme teams do, try and accommodate where possible. You do not need a CV or cover letter when applying for any apprenticeships, just the application process. There any other questions that anyone has spotted that they want to answer, or are there any final thoughts anyone wants to finish on? Shreya, do you know off the top of your head how many business admin apprentices there are in Birmingham? Sorry to put you on the spot. Someone's just
In
sent in that question.
Birmingham, I can tell you quite quickly, bear with. I'll type it on the question so you can move on to the next
Okay,
one
fine.
just while I get my data up.
Lovely.
But yeah,
Sure.
I'll respond to that one.
I've got another question actually. So, what if you don't have the grades? What if your grades are not quite what the job advert says? In terms of like if you haven't got, maybe you're missing a maths or an English qualification. Um, is there any are these things that you can complete on skiing, for example?
So with business admin, so we would require functional skills to be completed alongside the scheme. So if you don't have it, it's still go ahead and apply. Apprenticeships are fantastic in that I feel like they really value the fact that people might learn differently. Sometimes exams, assignments can be quite difficult, but learning on the job can come a lot naturally to some people. So yeah, if you haven't got them, please do still apply. You will be required to complete them as part of your apprenticeship scheme.
Lovely. Thank you so much. So to that person, absolutely pop in an application. We're really looking for your passions, your interests, your aptitudes, things that you can bring to the table that no one else can. Everyone's got those answers within. You might not have bags of job experience. Crystal said this is her first job, but she obviously had, the passions and the interests and the experience through other areas of her life that really made her so brilliant for this scheme. And everyone's got those answers within. You just need to kind of dig them out. Cool. I think that is most of the questions. Any other ones that I've missed? Could I apply for business admin and journalism as well? So we would say that our schemes are all quite different. They're quite distinct. And the skills and the passion um, for journalism, I think would probably be quite different for a business admin. So I would say really choose the scheme that really speaks to your passions and to your heart, because that is going to stand out in the application process. I think people kind of panic and go, I just want a job, I just want an apprenticeship and apply for everything. But if you focus really kind of keenly on what you would actually enjoy doing the most, I think that probably would be where your answer lies. I think that is most of the questions. Brilliant. Lovely. Thank you so much to my amazing panel, to Stefano for beavering away in the background answering all those questions, to Crystal and to Eva and to Phoebe as well, and to Shreya for telling us all about the scheme and answering all my annoying questions. So I guess the final thing for me to say is best of luck with your application. We'll be rooting for you. And yeah, make sure that you keep up to date with all the things that are going on at the BBC at BBC Get In on Instagram. And I guess the final thing for me to say is fingers crossed, see you at work. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.